and welcome to my kitchen, Cooking with Sofrito. Today is Sunday and every Sunday is dessert time. Today I am making sugar cookies. I make sugar cookies every year for Christmas, for the holidays. Of course, I also make them for special occasions. But this recipe you're going to love. You can mix it up and make different cookies with a sugar cookie recipe. So I can't wait till you try it, and I can't wait to make it for you. So let's get started. Hi and welcome back. Let's get started. The first thing you want to do is 2 sticks of butter. Actually, I'm going to give you the recipe for a small batch, which is I think 2 dozen. I'll give you 2 dozen cookies, but I am going to double it up because I'm making also cookies for the holidays. So it's 1 stick for the original, but I'm using 2 sticks of butter today, which make a cup. And 1 stick will make, of course, half a cup. Just make sure you get all that butter. And you're going to the other half a cup, which is the 2nd stick of butter. And now you want to add your sugar. So for us, the small batch is 3/4 cup of sugar. So I'm going to need to double that up. So here I have half a cup. So there we have a cup. 3/4 and 3/4 equals a cup and a half. So we're going to add the other half. And now I'm going to blend the butter with the sugar. So now let's get mixing. You're going to mix until it's light and fluffy. Everything is nice and mixed. Now what you want to do is add your 2 eggs. And 1 if you're making a small batch. If you're making double the batch, and add 2 eggs. And you're going to mix again everything together. So we're going to mix it. Everything is nice and fluffy. Everything is combined together. Beautiful. So now what we're going to do is add the vanilla. When I found this recipe, it just became the ultimate recipe, especially for the holidays, because this cookie is absolutely awesome and you can make it in so many ways. And one of the changes I made is it requires, I think it's a teaspoon of vanilla. I actually put a tablespoon of vanilla, and I am telling you, it's gonna make such a difference. Like I mentioned before, I am a vanilla girl. 2 tablespoons because we're making double. If you were making just a small batch for yourself, then 1 tablespoon. So we're gonna mix 2 tablespoons of vanilla. To me, it makes such a difference in the flavor. When you bite into it, you actually taste that yummy vanilla, but very lightly. It's not strong. You might think, oh, she's adding a tablespoon of vanilla, it's gonna be strong in the vanilla. No, it's not. But it does make your house smell fragrant, and when you grab a cookie, it's just, you smell that fragrant vanilla, and it's absolutely delicious. But trust me, when you're eating it, it's really not a strong vanilla taste. And now we're going to mix our dry ingredients. The thing you want to do is sift your flour. You don't have to sift it if you don't have a sifter, but it's recommended to. One of the baking rules I break once in a while when I'm in a rush, so that's okay. So here we go. We're going to add flour, all our dry ingredients, which will be 1 1/3 cup of flour. So here I have half. A cup. Cup and a half. 2 cups. And remember, I am doubling it up. If you're gonna make one, you're not gonna double it up and you want to make just 2 dozens, then it will be 1 1/3 cup. Trust me, you wanna double it up. So here I have a 1/3 cup, oh sorry, that's a 4. A 1/3 cup. 1/3 cup of flour. So you're going to put a 1/3 cup twice to double it up. So here's the 1/3 cup. And we need another 1/3 cup of flour. You're going to need 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. So we're going to get 1/4. Make sure you don't get any clumps in your baking powder, otherwise the measurements are not going to be correct. Okay, so there we go. And we're going to add another 1/4 because again, I doubled up the recipe. We're also going to do 1/4 of the salt, and that's again double it up because I doubled up the recipe. And if you don't feel sure pouring salt on top, you don't want to pour it over, just pour it to the side. So I'll just grab this here, my 1/2 cup, and I normally just do it right on top. I've done this recipe so many times, I'm used to it. But accidents happen. You don't want to put all that salt in there. So here's a second 1/4 of salt. And that's simple. That's all you need. That's all the ingredients. So now you want to sift everything together. And this is just gonna mix all those dried ingredients together. And if you need to push it through, if you have any clumps, and that's why they sift the flour, is so it doesn't clump up on you. But I've done it many times, honestly, without even sifting. So now that I have all my dry ingredients mixed, what I want to do is slowly pour it into my wet ingredients. So now I am going to pour everything together, all the dry ingredients, not all at the same time, slowly. Now all our dry ingredients are mixed with our wet ingredients, and just give it a little mixture with a spatula. So you want to mix it together. Make sure that all those dry ingredients are combined with the wet ingredients of the butter mixture. And now that everything is mixed together, what you want to do is get parchment paper and just put it into parchment paper and put it in the fridge for at least an hour to chill before you roll it. So we're going to just put it in parchment paper. Get a nice thick piece of parchment paper. also divide it. If you want to divide it, bake a few now and then a few later on, you can certainly divide it. But I'm going to be baking a lot of cookies, so we're just gonna pour it right in. Make it stuck to the bottom, so make sure you hold well to the bowl. You don't want to lose the bowl. It's very sticky right now because of all the butter. Make sure you get all that dough out. Every little bit out, pretty much. There you go. And the reason why you have to put it in the fridge until the dough gets nice and cold, so put it towards the back. If you're going to use it right away, put it towards the back of your fridge. What you want is the butter to harden so you can roll it. If you roll it like this, it's just going to be a mess. Let's push it to the middle of the parchment paper and just into a bowl. So you want to just form it into a little ball, flatten it a little bit, especially if you're going to use it within an hour, just so it's not so tall that it won't cool all the way through. You want it to cool all the way through. So just after you make a little ball with it, flatten it a little bit. And then what you want to do is make sure it's sealed because you don't want it to dry out on you. Here you are. Hi, and now our cookies are ready to be put in the fridge. So when I come back, we are going to bake. Hi, and welcome back. So our dough is cooled and ready to roll and start making cookies. So let's get started. Okay, so we have our cookie here. What you want to do is uncover it. So we're cutting it into 4 pieces. Let's count it away. And you're going to work with 1 piece at a time, and then the rest you're going to put in the fridge. So let's put this right here. And I'm going to close this up. You don't want it to dry, remember? So you want to close it up and put it back in the fridge and work with 1 piece of dough at a time. So the first thing you want to do is flour your surface. And you're going to need a pretty good amount of flour for this dough because it's very buttery and soft. So just flour the surface where you're going to roll. And since it's the holidays, I'm the collector of cookie cutters, but I have some holiday cookie cutters here and a few other shapes that I like to make as well. So let's get started. You want to flour your rolling pin as well. And keep flouring as you go. If you see that it gets stuck or open, flour your rolling pin again, or you can put a little bit of flour right on top. So let's see, what do we want here? We love Christmas trees. So this is about 1 inch. So what you want to do is have your cookie sheet, you're going to put parchment paper, and I like to, you could do it just if you have a really good cookie sheet like I do. You don't have to put a parchment paper if you're not making that many, but I'm making so many cookies that I prefer to use parchment paper, just so I don't burn out my cookie sheet. And now we place our parchment paper on our cookie sheet. Doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it protects your cookie sheet. And bring the dough that you have left over together again, and you're going to roll it again. So just add some flour. Make sure that everything is together and combined, like the dough is combined to each other. And we're going to roll again. To about an inch. If you like it thicker, you like it thinner, it's up to you. You just shake it like that, drop it into your hands, and you lay it into your cookie sheet. Drops it right into your hands. So if that's easier for you, you could do it that way. And I'm going to roll the dough. Make sure the surface is covered with flour. Pat some flour onto the dough so it doesn't stick. And if you need to pat some flour onto the rolling pin, do that as well. You don't want it to stick. So let's roll it. Just a little roll. I could probably get a cookie out of here. And just shake it. And just push it right through. And we're going to continue doing the same thing. And when I come back, I'm going to take some of the dough out and show you a different shape. So I'll see you in a few. So we're going to add some more flour and the cookie dough as well as the rolling pin. I'm gonna roll that second dough out, and the dough that was left over from the first one I rolled, I mixed in together. And now I think I'm going to do the star. I really love to decorate the stars, so we're going to do some star cookies. And again, if it's easier actually than the spatula to do it this way, so we're going to do it this way. So here we have some of the cookies already in a cookie tray. I have the oven preheating at 350 degrees. Always, even when you're cooking your meals, use the middle of your oven. That way your cookies, number one, they don't burn on the bottom, nor does your meal when you make dishes that go in the oven. Always put it in the middle rack, especially when you're baking. Right now our cookies are in the oven and they're going to bake for about 12 minutes. It could be a little less, it could be a minute longer. It depends on your oven. Just make sure that you look at the bottom and it's a golden color. You don't want it any more than that. And I'll show you when these cookies come out. So our cookies are done. This is the color you want to see on the bottom of your cookie. Now what you want to do is place your cookie and let it completely cool before you start decorating. So we're going to place our cookies, and I am going to start the next batch. So I'll see you when I come back. So I'm going to start with my next batch. So we're going to roll the dough. I have one of the doughs and I combined it with the dough that was left over. So we have plenty of dough here so we can make some cookies. cut some of the shapes that I really love that I fill with jelly, and you can fill it with jellies, any jelly you like. Raspberry is my favorite, but I also fill it with dulce de leche and with Nutella, and I'll show you when once they're baked, I'll show you how. This is my favorite shape. I love this one because this is the one that I fill with all the jellies. You could also make it with another shape, but this is my favorite shape for this particular filled cookie. Cookies are placed in a cookie sheet, and we're going to do the same. Put it in the oven for about 12 minutes in the middle rack. And anytime you stop working on the cookie dough, make sure that you put it back in the fridge, because you want that cookie, when you're working with that cookie, you want to make sure that it's nice and cold. I'm going to show you how I fill these cookies with dulce de leche, Nutella, and some jams or jellies, whichever you prefer. Today I'm doing strawberry and cherry. Sometimes I make an apricot, which I will do before this month is over or before Christmas. I'm going to show you how I fill it, bake it and then fill it. But this time I am going to fill them and bake them first. So this is what you do. You cut your cookies and you're going to fill it with your preferred jam. I've done it with orange jam. So we're going to fill a few with the raspberry. I have seedless raspberry, but you can certainly use the one with with seed. And let's fill a few with the strawberry. These cookies are a hit everywhere I go. I make it for almost every event and every gathering. Everybody loves them. Don't overfill it. You don't want to overfill it. Just enough in the middle, right in the middle of the cookie. And then what you want to do is fill a few with dulce de leche. And just a dab. And one more. I really like the dulce de leche one. And I'm going to do Nutella. And now that they're filled, set them to the side, and you're going to get another set of cookies that you cut up. And what you're going to do is get something to cut a small little hole. I use a small piping cap. Sometimes I use different cookie cutters. If I have a little tiny cookie, I have this bigger ones. When I make these into a larger size, which right now I'm using the medium, if I use the larger one, then I could use a different cookie cutter and you know, cut a star in the middle, or another little circle or square or any shape that I like, even a tiny little Christmas tree. So here we go. Actually, talking about tiny little Christmas trees, I know I have one. Here it is. Here it is, tiny cookie cutter, little Christmas tree. So right now, I'm just going to use this and make a hole right in the middle of the cookie. Take that dough out. gonna put that dough to the side. And we're gonna take the cookie that we cut a circle and just place it right on top. And you could use any cookie shape that you like. This is my favorite for these cookies. Our cookies are filled. We're going to put it in the oven again for 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes, depending on the oven. Make sure that you keep an eye on them. Middle rack. So we're going to put these in the oven, and when they're done, I'm going to show you how they look. So our cookies are out. They look delicious. I am going to put it to the side and let them cool for a little bit. You don't want them to cool all the way because we're going to put some powdered sugar over them, and they're gonna look so yummy and delicious. And in the meantime, I'm going to show you another way that I do filled cookies with the Nutella and the Dulce de leche. So when you make them at the beginning, they're gonna be really soft, but as a day or two pass, they're gonna harden in the outside, the chocolate, the Nutella, and so is the dulce de leche, so they won't be as mushy. I always like it like the next day or 2 days later. And I'm gonna show you how to fill those cookies. Here I have some of the cookies that I already baked. So I have some of the cookies with a shape from the ones that I filled here. And what I'm going to do is take the piping bag and pipe the filling into the cookie, on the cookie, just side up, bottom side up, and just go around and fill them as much as you like. If you like it really filled, you could fill them up even more, but I like it slightly filled, not too little, but just enough so they look just like this. Isn't that beautiful? So here's our cookie filled. We're going to put it right on this plate, and we're going to fill a few more. Perfect, right? Now we're going to make some of the Nutella. And the dulce de leche is very easy to find. Go to the Spanish section where they have the carnation milk. Normally they have in a can dulce de leche, and it's really delicious. It's really good dulce de leche. And there you are. These are our cookies. So what you want to do now, this to the side, a little warm, and that's how you want it. And you are going to take, you could use a sifter, you could use anything you like, anything that will work for you, and just put some powdered sugar. I have a container on the bottom so it doesn't go everywhere. And you're just going to tap it lightly. You don't want to tap it too hard, just lightly all the way through. And it looks like a lot right now, but the heat is going to melt some of this down, so you'll be able to see the jelly. And that's it. So just place your cookie and see how lightly brown is on the bottom, like a golden color, that's how you want your cookie. So let's place our cookies nicely on a tray. I'm going to bring these over because I want to put some powdered sugar on them as well. So here is our sugar cookies. Don't they look absolutely delicious? They are so yummy. You can have them with hot chocolate, with tea, with coffee, of course. So now that all our cookies are decorated and they're beautiful for the holidays, I want you to make them and enjoy them with your family and friends. Don't forget to watch, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. When you subscribe to my channel, you will get an alert when a new recipe comes up. So I'll see you guys soon. Take care.